Good morning, everyone. I'm Stacey Page here with Michelle Sloan. Welcome to Morning Vibes, weekly conversations to elevate how we live, think, and show up. So, before we dive in, if you are getting value from these conversations, please remember to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. This month, we are discussing grief and the grieving process. We also have a 90-minute workshop coming up later this month that we will soon share details about. Um, for this topic, Michelle and I both really appreciated this video that we found on the grieving process and coping with death. We're going to post a link in the comments to it so that you guys can also watch it. One of the things that this video touched on was the stages of grief, and I really appreciated their perspective on it. So, the stages of grief, you guys have probably heard of. It's a pretty popular theory. Originally, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross broke the stages of grief into denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And it has been expanded upon since its origin. Um, my challenge with it has always been that I feel that it can be misleading to people who are going through the grieving process because it can make it feel pretty cut and dry. Like we're here, we're in denial, we're going to complete this step, and now we're going to move on to the next one. And I think that these steps can be really helpful. I think all that knowledge and information is helpful to guide us through and see what resonates. But I do think it's important to remember that not necessarily everybody is going to go through these steps, not necessarily all of the steps. And in my experience, the process has never been linear. It's never been we're here, we complete, and we move on. So I think it's just important to remember that grieving and grief is going to be different for every person, and there is no right or wrong way to grieve.
Absolutely. Because no two people walk through it the same because no two minds are the same, no two hearts are the same, no two stories are the same. And it's important to soften that need to get it right, to do it right, and
Mhm.
instead just allow mindfulness to guide you through it. Grief isn't just sadness. It can show up as anger, confusion, numbness, even relief. So I think grief is one of the most human experiences we can ever face, yet it can be also one of the most deeply isolating. Understanding grief means getting curious instead of being judgmental. Like, what am I feeling right now? How does it feel in my body? What is this emotion asking of me? There's a lot of ways to do it. It's one of the reasons why I feel strongly about creating the workshop on May 28th online, which is going to be recorded. So if you are not able to attend live, it's a 90-minute workshop. You can always listen to the playback. The idea is to begin to witness your grief rather than to resist it. So when you are in a place of feeling it to heal it, you create that space for healing. And healing is important to allow yourself to let go, to lean in, so that you can get through the other side. The only way out is through. This workshop is absolutely designed to help you transform grief into wisdom.
Yeah. And I think it is so important because there is so much pain with grief, right?
Mhm.
There's physical pain with it. And it can be very difficult to move through, especially without some support and some tools, and without which, excuse me, we're going to be continually wanting to shove it down or avoid or push it. And as we know, if we don't deal with it, it's not going to go away, right? We're going to be carrying it with us through everything. And we all have different ways to move through the pain. And what I love about this workshop is we're going to be honoring that and giving tools and giving ways that people can find what works for them. So for me, I am someone who primarily hibernates when I go through the actual releasing of the pain. I love to be in community with people and get my tools to journal and understand what's happening. But when it comes to actually feeling that pain and removing it from my body, I tend to hibernate and go to do it on my own. I think it's a combination of things, but one thing I know about myself is that if somebody around me, my tendency is going to be to take care of their emotional needs over mine. And most people do not know how to sit with somebody who is in pain and in grief. They love us, right? They care about
Mhm.
us. They want to make it go away, make us feel better. So they don't know how to sit and hold the pain. And that's one of the things I love about this workshop is in giving the tips and tools, and we're creating a container with which to hold everybody as we move through this process.
Yes. And one big point I want to make is grief is not limited to the loss of a loved one. It can arise from many forms of change and transition, loss of a relationship, end of a marriage, moving, a big career change. It's a loss of your identity, the loss of a dream, or even the future you imagined. So sometimes we even have anticipatory grief, which is grieving before a loss even occurs. So there's so many types of grief. So there's tools and techniques that you will learn in the workshop are for everyone because a lot of the times grief can be misdiagnosed as anxiety or depression, but it can show up as confusion, as, like you said, isolation. There's so many ways that we don't understand it's grief, but our body is trying to regulate our nervous system. So the tools and techniques will definitely allow you to help regulate your nervous system. Whether it's meditation or breath work or journaling, specific outlines, it's about also understanding it from a logical place. But we all know that healing doesn't come from pushing grief away, it comes from learning how to sit beside it.
Yeah.
So, grief is also something not to get over. It's something we learn to carry. We carry it with more grace, more awareness, and eventually even more peace. So, when we lean into the grief with mindfulness, we begin to transform our relationship with it. And that's what's important about this workshop.
Yeah. And that was actually the point I wanted to make is that grief is not just when somebody dies.
Hmm.
Grief is any type of a loss, right? The points that you mentioned, and if something has physically changed and we're grieving the loss, we're
Hmm.
grieving, as you mentioned, the death of, I call it the death of the dream, the death of what we thought would be. And, also even grieving who we were during that time, and that goes with if a person has died, but it's also who were we when we were in that relationship that maybe we've divorced from, or when our physical body was a certain way that maybe it's not right now. It's grieving the death of who we were during that time. There's just any loss contributes to grief. Anything that's important to us, there's a process to go through when it's changed.
Absolutely. So I've been teaching a grief workshop. It used to be a much more intense and online 6 week workshop. And then we've taken what we know and we've put it into a 90-minute workshop. So in that space, that's where the healing will begin. So the workshop again is Thursday, May 28th. It's online with a playback. So we're excited about it. You'll see the link. You can sign on. You can sign up and find the link on dwellwithmichelle.com. And for those who are finding us here on YouTube, we meet every Thursday in the same space with the same intention. So if you connected to what you heard, hit subscribe. So this can be a place for your weekly wellness, a part of your healing, a part of your well-being. So join us on Morning Vibes every Thursday, 9:30. So until next week, keep being gentle with yourself, stay grounded, and keep rising. Bye, everybody.